I don't care. I don't care who's in it. I don't care that Derek's in it.
Look, I know Nick, and Nick likes to talk a big game, and I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport that he brings that type of excitement.
But Pittsburgh Pro, držím palce. Je niekto, kto si myslí, že je najväčší favorit na Pittsburghu?
Tak najväčší favorit je samozrejme Derek Lunsford.
All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. We are now approaching the 3.5 week out mark from the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro. Now, we've had a couple shows back-to-back already to start the season, and now there's going to be a few weekends where there's no open bodybuilding shows until Pittsburgh, and then it's going to be back-to-back from Pittsburgh going forward. So as you saw in that intro, we've got a couple updates to talk about here about the Pittsburgh Pro, coming from Nick Walker, coming from Derek Lunsford, coming from Michael Krizo. In this video, not physique updates, but just kind of a back and forth between all of them. So the first video was a couple days ago. This was Nick Walker just talking about the Pittsburgh Pro lineup, and he says, essentially all these guys are great bodybuilders, but I know in my heart that I'm going to win this show and I can beat all these guys. It wasn't really talking trash, I would say. And it's really kind of par for the course for Nick Walker. It's really the same thing that he's been saying all along. I mean, Nick Walker's entire pro career, people have called him overconfident or cocky because he said stuff like this, the whole time he's been pro. I didn't think this was disrespectful or anything like that. It's just a guy coming to a show saying he thinks he can win. And obviously, I think that any top guy or really any pro competing in any show should be going into that show thinking they can win the show. I don't think anyone should go to a show and think, I'm shooting for top 5, maybe with the exception of the Olympia. But here's what Nick actually said here.
I don't care. I don't care who's in it. I don't care that Derek's in it. I don't care that Martin's in it. I don't care that Vito's in it. I don't care if Bonak's in it. I love those guys are great bodybuilders. Phenomenal bodybuilders, actually. James is in it. All phenomenal. But at my core, at my heart, I know when I bring it, I bring it. And I know I can win this show. I know I can beat everyone.
So then in response to this past weekend at FIBO, I guess a fan ran into Derek, told him about this video of Nick, or asked him about this video of Nick and said, I assume you've seen it. And Derek kind of gave the politically correct answer of, well, I'm just focused on myself. I'm not really worried about what other people are doing, what other people are saying. I'm just focused on bringing the best version of myself. So let me play Derek's clip here as well.
Nick Walker said, I'm going to 100% win against Derek Lunsford. I'm pretty sure you have heard that, right? So what, any comment on that?
Look, I know Nick, and Nick likes to talk a big game, and I think it's great. I think it's great for the sport that he brings that type of excitement. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm only focused on me, and people might think that that's the politically correct answer to say, oh, just focus on yourself, you versus you. But in all reality, that's all I'm focused on is just me bringing my best to the show and putting on a show and a performance, displaying my physique that I've worked hard for years and years and years. And so, whether it's Nick Walker or anybody else showing up to Pittsburgh, I'm excited that it's going to be a great show. But I only focus on me, man.
So let's talk about Derek versus Nick for a second, because I think it's kind of an interesting conversation in the sense that Derek and Nick have only gone head-to-head at the Olympia one time, and that was 2022. That was the first year Derek made his open debut. Derek was runner-up right out of the gate. Nick Walker was third. So Nick versus Derek is one of the interesting matchups here to me, because it's not one that we've seen a lot, and Nick has beaten pretty much every other big name in this lineup. Well, with the exception of maybe Good Vito. Even if you just look at that 2022 Olympia where Derek beat Nick, at that Olympia, Nick beat Samson Dauda. Nick beat William Bonac. Nick beat Michael Krizo, all these guys that we're talking about in this lineup. And then recently, last year, Nick beat Martin Fitzwater, albeit controversially, maybe in a close decision at the New York Pro. But Derek versus Nick is actually an interesting one because Derek is pretty much the only guy in this lineup Nick has never beaten. So I think Derek being the favorite here is not like an unfair thing. I know Derek's kind of polarizing. A lot of people love him. A lot of people seem to not like him beating guys like Sampson. But Derek being the favorite here isn't like an unrealistic thing in Pittsburgh because of the fact that even if Derek hadn't won the Arnold Classic, even if he hadn't beaten Samson Dauda, he would still be going into the Pittsburgh show having already beaten everybody in this lineup, even just at the last Olympia. And then some of his biggest competition, like Nick Walker, Nick has never beaten Derek. Martin Fitzwater, the last time he faced Derek won, also has never beaten Derek. Bonac, Krizo. Good Vito, I think, is a little bit unfair just because he hasn't had the opportunity to compete against Derek yet, so we don't know how he would look in a lineup next to him. But the guys that we do see next to Derek in the same shows, in the same lineups, they don't beat him. But then that brings me to the next story, which was Michael Krizo's recent interview talking about Pittsburgh. And I'm not going to lie, I was a little discouraged by this, or maybe not discouraged, but disappointed. Because I'm not going to lie, I kind of like the attitude that a Derek or a Nick has going into this show like this, that they're going to win, and they're coming to win. But Krizo, in this interview, all he really said was, if he comes in on, he should be top 5. And the reason why I was a little bit discouraged by this is like all these updates that we've seen from Krizo, he looks so impressive. And he just looks so back to maybe even better than he was before. And then also on top of that has seemed so confident because of how many updates he's been posting. So for him to just say he's shooting for top 5, I was just disappointed to hear that. I wanted to hear something like, I'm at my all-time best, I'm fully recovered from this surgery, the shoulder thing was holding me back, now I can train to my full potential, I look better than I've ever looked, and I'm coming to win this thing. But that wasn't really what we got from him, so let me play the clip for you guys here.
Pittsburgh Pro, držím palce. Je niekto, kto si myslí, že je najväčší favorit na Pittsburghu?
Tak najväčší favorit je samozrejme Derek Lunsford. Ďalší favorit na víťazstvo je Nick Walker, potom je tam Fitzwater. A potom sú tam chlapci ako je Bonac, Vito. A potom môže byť aj ja, hej, takže keď sa zadarí, tak do všetkých by som mohol skončiť. Uvidíme, ako sa podarí záver. Je tam...
So based on what you heard in these videos, let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and also based on the physique updates and your cumulative opinion. What do you think the results will be in Pittsburgh? Is it going to be Derek? Is it going to be Nick? Is it potentially going to be Martin? I know this is older, but Martin posted it recently. He posted this 8 weeks out update from Pittsburgh. And I know, we saw the guest posing in Detroit, but just for the sake of showing this physique update, while you guys are kind of mulling over your top 3, top 4 predictions for Pittsburgh, I mean, who do you guys got? Do you think Nick has a chance at beating Derek? Do you think Martin has a chance at beating Derek? Do you think Krizo will do better than even Krizo thinks and be, maybe top 3? Good Vito's kind of the wild card here. Bonac looked incredible in Detroit. Who do you guys think? Just give me the top 3. What are your top 3 predictions? Just the top 3, because if you give me the top 3 predictions, that will exclude some of these names that we talked about here for sure. Now, next up in the news, we also got a new physique update today from Ramon Dino at 120 kilos in this posing video, which would be 264.5 pounds. And he's looking pretty big here. He's looking pretty bulky in this video. And as you guys already well know, the conversation going into the Olympia this year is who is going to be the next in line, who is going to be the heir to the throne, left behind by Chris Bumstead. And at one point in time, Ramon Dino was the #1 guy in that conversation for being the next one. And now that conversation seems to be tilted to Mike Sommerfeld. And I think now Urs Kalsinski and Terrence Ruffin have also entered that conversation. But at one point in time in recent history, Ramon Dino was that guy. And as he prepares for the 2025 Mr. Olympia, and we're seeing these updates, do you guys think that Ramon has what it takes to become the next Classic Physique Olympia champ? And do you think, looking at this physique update where, this is clearly an off-season update, he's clearly put on some size, do you look at this update and do you think he's made improvements? And if so, where? And I guess the other question would be, what do you think Ramon needs to improve to be the next guy? Because I think physique-wise, size-wise, he was already there. I think it's just a matter of him missing the mark. He seems like a very hit-or-miss guy. When he's on, he's on. He looks fantastic, and that's the Ramon that we talk about as being maybe next in line to Chris Bumstead. But then he has these misses where he comes in pretty off, and that's where he loses and really slips placings to lower than people expect. So I think physique-wise, he's already there from a muscularity standpoint, from a size standpoint. It just sometimes he misses the mark when it comes to conditioning. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, I found this very interesting. So this was the Most Muscular YouTube channel. That's the name of the channel, and that's also their name on Instagram. And this is a topic we haven't really covered a lot lately. Big Ramy. So this YouTuber interviewed Big Ramy, and Big Ramy said in that interview that there's an 80% chance that he will compete at the 2025 Mr. Olympia. He said he's trying his best to compete and to get to the stage in 2025, but he says if he's not able to fix the issues that he's had that he feels are holding him back, then he's not going to compete again. But he said he is trying this year, and he said he wouldn't say 100%, but he would say 80% that he will be in the Olympia lineup this year. So let me roll that clip for you guys, and then we'll talk about it.
The question is, are you back? Are you coming back for Olympia?
I try my best to be back, but I need to back without any issues.
Okay, yeah.
That's my goal. If I need to be back in the stage, I need to back stronger than before. If I can't back like what I need, I don't like to go stage anymore.
Okay. So we don't really know yet.
I tried my best to be in Olympia this year. I fixed some mini problem in my muscles. I think I can't say 100%, but I can say 80% I will be in stages this year.
Okay, so we can have hope that to see.
I try.
I
love to be back.
I would love to see you there too. Thank you a lot. You look so big. You're still so big.
So this one is interesting to me because Big Ramy has been out of the conversation for so long now that we haven't even really discussed even the possibility of him doing the Olympia the past couple of years. It was the 2022 Olympia, the last time we saw him compete, and he still looks big in this interview video, which is from this weekend. But Ramy is older. I mean, Ramy will be 41. He's 40 right now, but he'll be 41 before the next Olympia. So I actually didn't realize that he was in his 40s or would be in his 40s if he did the Olympia this year, which would put him on the older end of the spectrum, which is not necessarily a horrible thing. It's not like a death sentence. But, I mean, the fact is he was in his 30s when he was winning Olympias. And since then, it seems like his physique has declined. But in addition to that, he's now entered his 40s. He's getting older, and he's getting into that age bracket, at least for bodybuilding, where you're probably no longer going to be at your all-time best, or at least no longer going to keep rapidly improving, unless you're somebody like a Dexter Jackson. I personally don't think we're going to see Big Ramy compete at the Olympia this year, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think there's a chance that we ever see Big Ramy on the Olympia stage again, or do you think he's done? And I think you should also take into consideration just really how quiet Ramy has been since the time that he took off stage. Like, during this time that we haven't seen him compete, we haven't really seen him do a whole lot else. And I think, interestingly enough, that kind of ties into last year's Pittsburgh Pro, so the earlier topic of this video, which is this year's Pittsburgh Pro. I think the last time that we really had a big story about Big Ramy was last year when he blew off the Pittsburgh Pro and was not able to attend yet again for the guest posing. So with the exception of like attending a random expo here and there, like FIBO was where this interview was at. Ramy was there promoting his Red Rex supplement brand. But with the exception of like a couple random appearances like that per year, Ramy has been pretty, I would say, distant from at least the core bodybuilding fan base since he's stepped away from the stage. So I personally just have a feeling we're not going to see him compete again. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. That's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. I hope you did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.